Hello and welcome to another episode of AI Automations with Cosmo. I am Cosmo and I'll be your host today. So today I have something really special for you. I thought I dive deeper into YouTube content repurposing and basically show you all my secrets on how I'm able to distribute and repurpose content that I create on YouTube, as well as content from other creators that inspire me, and post it on various other social media platforms, as well as save it into my Notion, but also distribute it to my newsletter, post it on, my Medium page, etc. So I'll show you all the secrets. And before we start, I also have a guest on today's episode, my good friend and mentor, Mars. And Mars will just briefly walk you through some more theoretical aspects of why we're doing this and why we're really living in the age of opportunity when it comes to content and generally knowledge.
Hey, thanks, Cosmo, for the introduction. So I'd like to start with an introduction of what is impact. So what we want to do as creators, right, is to have the biggest impact possible. And what does impact mean for me? For me, impact is the combination of an idea, at times leverage. And a figure that inspires me a lot is Naval Ravikant. You probably all have heard about him. And I just put here two quotes that really capture very well the essence of the time we're living right now. So one goes as follows. We live in an age of infinite leverage, and economic rewards for genuine intellectual curiosity have never been higher. So what does this mean? This really means that if you have intellectual curiosity and learn about new topics and learn about new skills, you can really infinitely leverage them. And what does that mean? Well, basically using content and using code and using a lot of other instruments at our disposal, you can reach a worldwide audience. And this is unique, right? And it has never been higher than right now. Another quote, again from Naval, is every single tweet costs nothing and has the potential to reach the entire world. It's the best lottery ever made. So this is really why this episode specifically is so important, because you will learn how to build infinite leverage on your idea. So you just have one idea, you record it, and then you're able to distribute it on all the other platforms, basically participating for each platform in a separate lottery, increasing your chances of winning. But let's look into more detail about what we'll learn today. So as I said, impact equals ideas time leverage. And in this specific case, we're looking about media leverage and code leverage. So media leverage obviously is the power of social media, because you're really replicating yourself through social media. And then on top of that, we add code leverage, which is really an AI automation that makes it possible for you with minimal input to actually generate very high output. What does it mean in specific? So if you look on the left side, you see the human kind of, you see yourself, right? So the human layer, as I like to call it, this is really where everything starts. So this is your unique input, the unique input you have to share with the world. And that's really the most important, right? That's why I see a future with AI-enhanced humans and not replaced, because the human component will take a long time to be replaced by AI, in my opinion. And that's why it's so important to enhance the human output, with the AI, because obviously if you don't, you will get left behind. So let's go through step by step. So the first step is really in the automation that we're building, and it's made of 4 steps. So the first step is really the extraction of a YouTube summary from the YouTube video, And we can call this RPA, so robotic process automation. There is no AI here. This was possible before the advent of all the big LLMs. And it's really kind of a standard way to extract data, which then we take and create a summary. Plus, what we also do, we create key takeaways. And these two first components are really the first step, which I like to call the content extraction part of the bigger picture. And then what comes then is actually very interesting, which is more of the LLM layer. And what we do here is we use, obviously, even the step before, right? The summary and the key takeaways belong to the LLM layer. But really where the magic happens for me in this whole repurposing framework, and which is very unique to how other people do it, is that actually we are applying a unique critical content framework here. And for this, we use Perplexity, which is really good AI tool for more in-depth research and fact-based writing. And so what we do here is a four-step process. We take the input from the previous step, and we rework it and we research it to present some key points and core ideas that come out of it. And it's really, you can imagine like an academic researcher that takes paper and then looks at it and is like, okay, what other papers in this area are available? How can I enrich the content? Then the second two is actually outlining critique points. So really looking with a critical viewpoint on the ideas presented. So not to just regurgitate what was already there, but really take a critical stance on it. And the third part is that we introduce open questions. So based on the idea, let's say based on the thesis and the antithesis, we're looking at, okay, what, not really antithesis, but the critique points, we formulate some open questions. We're like, okay, what things are unclear or would require further assessment based on what we learned. And then the last one is a favorite one of mine, which is really that we close with a spiky point of view, which is really an interesting concept. And I like to give credit to Wes Cow about this, which outlines how you take a unique stance, which might be controversial, and open points of discussion about a specific topic. So these were the first two big steps. And then we have the third step, which is really using LLMs fine-tuned for the specific copywriting style of each social platform. So obviously on Twitter, you write differently than on LinkedIn and Instagram. And as the last point, we actually take all of this input, add on a human layer in the sense of checking if everything is fine and ready to be published, as well as, we basically schedule it on a calendar and then distribute it on social media.
Okay, thanks Mars for the great introduction. Now let's just briefly go through the 4 building blocks and some key modules. So the first building block is capture. So we'll look at how to capture a new YouTube video via Telegram, then analyze it via the Rapid API to quickly transcribe it, then create summaries and key takeaways with ChatGPT and store everything in Notion. Then in the second building block, we'll look at how we use Perplexity to enrich the data with the unique 3-step framework Mars talked about a little bit earlier. Then in building block 3, we really look at how to create the content for each social media platform with fine-tuned ChatGPTs, as well as use Unsplash to download stock images and Cloudinary to manipulate these stock images. And in the last step, we're actually looking at how to post all this with 3 social media APIs. And here we are also looking at one unique API, which is the Kit API, which enables you to send out your newsletter automatically, which is great. Okay, so first a little bird's eye view of the 4 automations we'll walk through today. You see the first one, we capture new data through Telegram, then save it into Notion. Second one, we enrich the data with Perplexity AI. Third one, we create fine-tuned content for each platform. fourth one, we're actually posting the content directly from Notion. Okay, so let's jump right into the automation. We start with the Telegram bot. And if you don't know how to set this up, I link the video up. And this is really a favorite of mine because it's easy to use as front end to capture any type of information without having to develop any proper front end. And Telegram is very open and practical for any API connections. So this is really something that I recommend you to look into if you're serious about building automations into your daily flow. Really, I just open Telegram as I would open WhatsApp and talk with my bots automations. If you don't know how to set this up, I won't go into this in detail, but I link the video where I think from minute 2 or so, I'll go into it into much detail. Then what we're actually doing is we're receiving the YouTube link, and the input to grab the subtitles is the YouTube video ID. So what we're doing with a text parser is that we're really parsing the link in order to get out the specific YouTube video ID. I forgot to say, you can download the free blueprints, link in the description, so you don't need to copy this out of the video. And I'll also copy paste this into the blueprint documentation. So don't need to worry about this. What we then do is we're actually just taking the second parsed item, and given that parsers shoot various bundles, we're aggregating everything so that we don't get into trouble with each bundle working through the whole automation. Then here we're actually grabbing the subtitles and the video details for the video that we shared through Telegram. So I could actually just rename this grab subtitles because it's not the latest video, it's the video we just shared through Telegram. And this is actually great. We're using Rapid API for this. And let me just hide briefly the API key. Maybe I open and I cut this. Okay, great. So now I just changed the API key. I took it out. So basically, we're using Rapid API, which is a service provider for a lot of APIs, similar to Apify, if you know that. But I really like Rapid API. In my opinion, they have some more powerful APIs as well as a better pricing. And then you just do a call to basically grab the subtitles of a specific YouTube video ID. And afterwards, as in the Notion databank, I want to store details like when it was published and the author of the video. We're also grabbing the video details with the same Rapid API call. And actually, as you will see, Rapid API has lots of APIs, and what we're using here is the YouTube version 2 API. If you go on their website, it's easy to find. We can actually Rapid API. Well, you see, it's actually one of those I really like to use. And here you see it's in the category social, YouTube API version 2. And you really just see that there is a lot of APIs, right? 39,000 APIs about whatever you can imagine, right? You can pull real estate data, you can pull sports data. It's a very, very useful service that I recommend you to look into. If you're interested to have a video specifically about this, let me know. I can dive into much more detail and into specific APIs also that I'm using daily. So let's get back to it. Now, what we're actually introducing here is what I call security sleep, which is really just between API calls, a little sleep time, because sometimes the data gets pulled very fast and you have API rate limiting quotas and you don't want to, surpass them. But that's really the only reason. Okay, then very important, what I always do when there is a user experience involved is to send feedback back to the user, right? So it's important that once I share the link, I know, is the automation working? Is there something going on? Was there an error? Or is everything in progress? And how I do this is here by filtering.
So this is something I noticed. Sometimes the Rapid API doesn't pull the subtitles right. And so the text variable here that I introduced basically is empty. And so in this case, I would send back into the Telegram chat that there was an error processing so that the user knows, hey, something is not going and can try again, or has to look deeper into what was the issue. And at the same time, if the text exists, you can see that we're sending a summary in progress message back. So really, this comes back to error handling in the sense that it's not only the handling of the error, which is more like these specific routes that you can build and make, but it's about communication with the user. He needs to know what's happening. And I invite you, when you build an automation, to understand where there is critical points that could cause an error. And based on that, for example, like I did here, define some routes, because specifically here, as I mentioned, the text sometimes is empty. So based on that, I know something went wrong without having a specific error handler, which is only triggered when there is an error in the module. Okay, let's continue. So what we're doing then is, and here, right, it only goes through if the text exists. We're actually saving with some key items. We're also saving a summary of the video, as well as a one sentence summary, 200-word summary, and 5 key takeaways. This is really a framework I developed because I feel like to know what a YouTube video is about, and also to use it for content repurposing. These are important parameters. If you don't know about how make routes work, in this case, if I want to use the summary in a different route, I need to save it as a variable. You see here set variable, and then I need to get it as a variable, because otherwise this variable, if I don't get it in another round, wouldn't be available. I couldn't use it, and I obviously want to use it. And why I'm using different routes is 2 reasons. One, because of the filters, and secondly, also because it's easier for error handling, in the sense that if something goes wrong on one route, another one still gets executed. Okay, so here you see that we are storing data in a specific Notion database. I could actually briefly pull this up. Let me check. Okay, so this you see is the database in Notion. It's really a standard database, nothing too crazy. I'm happy to share this as a template as well. If you're interested, it's not in the standard documentation, but just drop me a comment. I can do that. And here you already see how I'm using this automation. For example, I was interested, I watched a video about Sam Altman revealing the future of AI agents by the AI grid. And really, this is a topic I'm interested in. And I want to amplify this message also with my audience without having really to create unique content about it. But this is an important piece of information for the industry. And so once I read this, I want to share it also with my community. And you see here the tweet created, the caption for Instagram, as well as a LinkedIn post, and here a whole blog article. And from here, we will actually post the data as well. So you see here, there is a publish date, which is, this is actually for the original video. And then here we can select an AI tag as well as a scheduled date, and then the automation will run and post this content. So this is just a quick preview. And what we're then doing is really putting the summary as well, additionally in the page of the Notion data bank, as well as sending back, and this is really nice, sending back the Notion link to the user, so he can just tap on it and see that it was created properly, and also knows where it is without having to go into Notion. And at last step, we are sending all this data, or not all of it, but the relevant part, to the second part of the automation to enrich the data. And what's important here, what I see a lot of people not doing, is I'm not creating here a JSON manually, and I'm also not passing query string parameters. What I'm doing, I'm using the create JSON building module, because if I have text, especially in this case, which has characters that are not JSON compatible, here this module actually fixes that and passes them in a way that is compatible. Otherwise, this module would have an error, which we obviously don't want. And also, it's just best practice, because here you can easily adjust the structure. If you have API documentation with specific JSON structures, you can just copy paste them here. So you can, well, I cannot show you right now, but yeah, generate. You can actually copy paste a specific structure here and just generate the JSON without having to insert every parameter yourself. So this is really a best practice I recommend you to follow. Again, if you want a video specifically about JSON and API calls, let me know. I'm happy to do that, because it's a critical part of AI automation. The more APIs you know, and the better you can handle JSONs, the more unstoppable you become, right? That's why Rapid API is so powerful, because you can pull any kind of data, and it will be in JSON and sometimes in complex JSON formats. But if you're able to parse it properly and rework it, then you're really unstoppable. Okay, amazing. So now what we're using here is obviously a webhook, which just means that from part 1, we are calling this specific URL and passing the JSON string, which then arrives and triggers our second part of the automation, which is really the secret sauce. And I developed this framework in an initial, step myself, and I'm definitely gonna dive deeper here. When I consume some content that I like, I want to share it, but not necessarily exactly as it is, but with some, unique points of view, as well as opening it for discussion. That's really where I see the potential of this automation, is that you're not just repurposing or regurgitating content, which a lot of people are doing and I don't like, but we're really putting the content out there with some questions, with some spiky point of view, to open the discussion and to foster further reflection. And for this, Perplexity AI is absolutely amazing. If you don't know it, it's basically a mix of Google and ChatGPT, so it can really Google information, so do additional research for you, and then the communication is really in an LLM format. So I can highly recommend you. They also just raised a huge round, I think, don't know how many 100 millions, but Perplexity, exactly. Perplexity AI, right, is similar to ChatGPT in the format, but then you can really research the web. And if you go on, if you go here on the settings, you can click on API and get your API key, which is really great. You can start with a free account, and I think I just loaded, exactly for sake of this tutorial, $5, and you will see that it's actually very cheap to use, at least if you don't scale it massively. Okay, and now let's look into more detail, because these 3 modules are really critical and do a lot of the hard work in this automation. Okay, great. So now let's look into more detail. So in the first module, I'm actually prompting the system to be my company research assistant, and basically, based on the 1-word summary, the 5 key takeaways, as well as the 200-word summary, it will write a 600-word short reflection based on the additional insights that the research provided. So what I'm doing here is really mimicking the human behavior that I have. So when I see a video and I have some key takeaways from the video, I might go on Google and research it more in detail, find some sources, find some different opinions, and that's what I wanted to mimic here. Then the second part is, and you see here that we're using chain prompting, so we're really chaining prompts together, as this works better to get more specific results. So here we have the first, actually, here you see we have the first additional research prompt, and we're passing then the answer as in the role of assistant, and then chaining on that, we're actually prompting the automation or Perplexity AI to present 3 critique points and 3 open questions. So here we're again going even deeper. So based on the video, based on additional research, we're looking at it in a critical fashion and asking ourselves, hey, what is there that can lead to further insights? And the third one is really a favorite of mine, which is the presentation of a so-called spiky point of view, which is a concept I first picked up by Wes Cow. I think it's actually her who originally invented or wrote about this, which means that we are presenting a strong and controversial point of view. And this is essential for how I look at this content repurposing automation, because I don't want to just, as I said, regurgitate content. I want to present a unique point of view. And what I will do actually in a following video is that this unique view won't be in a way a generalized point of view coming from Perplexity, but it will be a unique point of view based on a chatbot that is trained on my views of the world. So basically, yeah, going even deeper into personalization. And in the end, what we're doing, we're just putting everything together. I'm just calling this dissertation master, which is basically all the 3 parts put together. And we are also summarizing this. So you will see in the next, I hard-coded this. So let me change this. Yeah, sometimes it's practical to hard-code it to test some modules, without having to rerun everything. But now what we're doing is, voila, zack. Summarize this, dissertation master. Okay, let's put 8,000. Okay, save. And then we create a JSON, and we basically pass all the relevant items that we need in the next part, which is obviously the whole content generated by Perplexity AI, a summary of it, which we will use, for example, for Twitter. I don't want to consume unnecessarily tokens. Then we will pass the database, the Notion database item ID, which is important because we will obviously store this information in Notion, and the Telegram chat ID, as I mentioned before, to inform the user that we are progressing. Okay, and now we're already in part 3. I won't go into each module separately, but you'll see that each module has some specific prompts tailored to the platform with some specific example, of tweets I like, etc., which really makes sure that the output is fine-tuned to each specific platform. And in this case, we're not using fine-tuned models per se, but we're giving the ChatGPT instance very detailed prompt with examples, which, for the purpose of this video is enough to get a very good result. And, this is a good one. Step by step. So what we're doing here is we're receiving the data from part 2 of the automation. And this is another unique aspect of how I handle things. I'm giving ChatGPT a base system personality prompt. So in this case, you see what I'm saying, and this really comes from me developing chatbots for coaches or avatars, but I thought I share it here as well. Basically, I developed a personality framework in the sense that this helps ChatGPT to be a certain person, and this comprises a backstory, a target audience and purpose, a motto, a mission statement, so really a tone and personality. So it's really giving it a very detailed insight, which we will then pass to the automation, to the specific module. You see every module starts actually with the base system personality prompt, and then we add on the specific fine-tuning. So it's a double fine-tuning, you could say. One based on, or triple, on this personality prompt. Then we introduce some details about the company, and then we go into the specific social media platform. Here, basically, we are then saving it in each database item column, so Twitter here, for example, then the real caption here. You already saw this in Notion, right? Each column has a different content. I can scroll here, voila. And here you see the image, the blog ID, which we're just using as a reference to download the document later and post it on Medium or in our newsletter, for example. And then here, I don't know, you might not know my video, I can link it up above. I created a framework for writing SEO optimized blogs, and this is the second part of it. So we're not SEO optimizing in this case, but if you want, you could include here some additional modules that you can also download for free in the YouTube video about SEO optimized blog, which I link up above. And then the last part is really that we are downloading a unique stock image from Unsplash. We're manipulating it to be in a specific format that we want. And I invite you to look at these providers because Unsplash is really great. In this case, I decided not to use AI-generated image, although sometimes it gives better results, and actually it's my preferred route, but I wanted to show a different way of doing things, as well as introducing Cloudinary, which is an amazing platform, and you can do a free account to basically manipulate content. You can go very crazy, do very complex stuff with it, but as an example, right, you can take images and you can cut them, you can also change the backgrounds, you can change videos. As you see, you can put watermarks. So it's really infinite what you can do. It can get a bit complex, but for standard transformations, it's already good, and you can always ask ChatGPT to help you out. So Cloudinary, really great service. What we're then doing is, we're just downloading the URL. So downloading the file from the URL from Cloudinary, saving it into Notion, and finally sending again the Notion link to the user with a confirmation that everything went well. Again, a reminder, you can download the blueprints for free from the link in the description. That's why I'm not going step by step into explaining each module. If you would like a video where I do that, just let me know. I'm happy to do it. I just realized that it would take a long time to do it for this 4-step automation. Whew. Okay, amazing. We're already getting into the content posting part, which is part 4 of 4 of this automation. And here I would really like to highlight, which is very unique for my system, is that I'm posting directly from Notion. Notion is a powerful software, and they just released some great updates with the Notion email and some more powerful automation and AI features. And I see a lot of people using Airtable or Google Sheets, and I'm like, hey, I understand the power of Airtable. It has some features that make it easier, to create complex content scheduling and distribution automations. But I think for the purposes of most people, it's better to have fewer platforms to have to log into and have everything in one dashboard. That's why I love Notion, because it's very flexible and can be used very well. And Google Sheets, honestly, I don't like it. It's, for me, just a quick fix. And again, a different platform. So how I like to do it is connect everything to Notion. So I can manage my projects there, I can manage my content there, I can manage my notes there. Everything is stored in one place. And here, it's a very straightforward process. You probably saw parts like this in some other videos as well. I'm just setting an AI tag, which I can show you here. Well, I think we saw it before. Yeah, here actually. There is an AI tag, and you are free to change it as you want. Normally I have a new tag, which is when the content is newly stored in the data bank. Then once I've scheduled it and there is a date, I put it on scheduled, which is the trigger for the automation to actually post it online. And then once it's posted, it changes the tag to sent. Let's go back here. I just put a limit here of 10, but honestly, we don't really need it. I can actually take it out and save again. And then what are we doing? So here creativity is your friend. I didn't include all the platforms, but these are, I think, the most important ones that I like. You could also include Reddit, which I actually do for my personal purposes because I started a Reddit about AI agents, specifically no-code AI agents. If you're interested, I'll share the link in the near future. I don't feel ready yet. And so yeah, what we're doing here is we're posting on Medium. And on Medium, we are taking the stock image from Unsplash as well as the whole blog article. So in Google Docs, I can call it extended blog article. We are using an extended blog article. Then we're reformatting as HTML, which is really, a necessary step to have it nicely formatted on Medium. What we're then doing is we're also posting on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And on Instagram, actually, I'm also introducing a module to generate an AI-generated image, just because I feel that it's more trendy for Instagram to have an AI image rather than the Unsplash stock image. And in the last route, this is actually the one I would like to highlight. We're again creating a JSON, and you'll see this is a little bit more complex, but I'm actually thinking, I need to link it in the documents because in the blueprint, the JSON structure will be gone. But it's really about the KIT email broadcast. So most of the newsletter services don't provide an API to send newsletters. I don't know why. I think they just want to gate users, so they are forced to log into the platform. That's why I really love ConvertKit, which now is rebranded to KIT, because I'm able to send broadcasts, as they call them, through the API. And I can show you kit.com. I really recommend them. It's for creators. It has powerful features for automation, for landing pages, for selling your own products. And as mentioned, it has an API, which is great because then you won't have to separately send your newsletter out. You can just make sure that everything is how you want to have it, and then send it out automatically.
Oh, wow. What a journey, this one. So thanks for listening in. I think we learned really a lot in this specific episode about content production distribution. See you on next one. Thank you, Cosmo.